Are planning get-togethers for the 4th of July. A homeowner in Iowa is being warned not to let too many people on her pool deck. A contractor built it less than a year ago. Mike McKnight shows us shocking discoveries made by a code inspector in tonight's 6 on Your Side investigation.
Yeah, you can really hear it.
Instead of wrapping her pool deck in red, white, and blue ribbons for the 4th, Sarah Guida is being warned, consider yellow caution tape instead.
Definitely not constructed appropriately, and I wouldn't have any family barbecues on it. It's not enough to support your center of the structure there.
Planning Director Matt Wyatt says Pottawatomie County requires permits and contractor licensing, but the deck builder who Sarah hired didn't have either.
Beware, number one, and number two, do more due diligence.
Sarah found Ritchie Holiday Lighting and Care Team on Facebook and paid the contractor about $10,000 to build the pool deck. But the number of code violations uncovered makes her head swim.
They're not supposed to be supported this way. They were supposed to be notched in.
Correct. Overspanned. There should probably be at least a minimum of 2 more supports in there.
A text from contractor Gavin Ritchie says Sarah got a final walkthrough about a year ago and claims she approved everything, but she didn't know county planning approved nothing on the project.
You know, I would have liked to think that he would take ownership and, you know, own up to it and help us resolve it. Instead, he basically told me there's no warranty on it, and it was now my responsibility. My deck, my problem.
Come the 4th, Sarah says the deck chairs may be rearranged in the yard. Here's an obvious danger. Imagine a group of teenagers headed for a dip, and they take these stairs. But not only are they creaky, look underneath. There's no support. The stringers already appear to be pulling away, and the stairs don't have required railings for anyone to catch themselves. So Sarah is left with a year-old deck that has safety hazards top to bottom.
I encourage her to definitely consult a licensed contractor and see what remedies they can come up with. If not, you know, a total reconstruction of the deck that's here. But this wouldn't be something that would be safe for your family to be on.
The contractor's text says there's no warranty, and he can't control what the wood does. But Sarah says a deck less than a year old shouldn't be topped with a bow. On Your Side near Council Bluffs, Mike McKnight, 6 News.
The contractor hasn't returned several messages from Mike. Ritchie Holiday Lights and Care Team currently has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. That's on an update status after learning the contractor may have changed the company name. The dispute resolution team for the Bureau has reached out to the contractor, but no response yet.